Frost Witch is a lost student of the witch Renna, primarily using Intelligence and Arcane with magic damage to utilize the power of Frost. This video will walk through the entire path of the Frost Witch in the Elden Ring Convergence mod, grabbing all weapons, spells, and armor sets unique to this class. So the first thing we're going to do along our path is get the Shimmering Rune of Frost from the Weeping Everjail, which is right near the starting location of the Frost Witch. But if you watch my starter guide, you will already have run around most of the map picking up golden seeds and things, so you should be plenty strong enough for this upcoming fight. Now this fight is nothing new, it's the ancient hero of Zamor who is also here in vanilla Elden Ring, so just take him out any way you can. I was using a combination of Ice Dart and melee attacks with the Frozen Needle. Once he's dead, you are rewarded with the Shimmering Rune of Frost and a Combat Remnant. And for spells, we get Ice Crag Arrow, Renna's Barrier, and Frozen Spikes, which are great starter spells. Before we move on, I do just want to point out this portal here, which will take you right near Caria Manor if you haven't already gotten a grace near this area yet. Next up, we're going to grab the Icerind Hatchet, which is a vanilla Elden Ring weapon, still pretty good in Convergence and very easy to get as well. It's also in the same spot as vanilla, which is inside a chest in the Temple Quarter section of Liurnia. Now we are heading into Caria Manor, which is where the majority of items for the Frost Witch class can be found. We need to get through the first section of Caria Manor first before we are able to pick anything up, however, so that means running through the overhauled manor that you get in the Convergence mod, where we will eventually find a switch to open the first gate. I'm just going to run through the first section here if you haven't been through the new Caria Manor yet, otherwise you can skip ahead to the next section. So here we are at the switch, and as you can see, it opens the main gate to the first section, which allows us to go in and get to the next grace. So we get to the first grace in Caria Manor, still no items to pick up yet. We actually need to kill the first boss before we can pick up anything for this class. I do a quick run up to the roof here, which you really don't need to do as there's not much up there, but there is the merchant if you want to check that out for yourself. Okay, so now we'll continue on the main path here and make our way to the first boss of Caria Manor. Okay, so we are about to enter the arena for Rhys, Carian Paragon, who can be a little tricky at first, but once you get his move down, he's not that bad. I found the combination of Renna's barrier and frozen spikes to be pretty OP here, as he could barely even approach me, and I would just blast him with frost procs until he was dead. If you do die, there's a Stake of Marika like in vanilla, so it's a pretty quick run back, which is nice. Once he's dead, you can run up the steps here and open the chest to finally get our first item for the class within Caria Manor, which is the glowing Rune of Frost. Some pretty decent spells in here as we get the Armor of Rhine, Ice Crag Burst, and Ice Shards. Now we just continue on through the last section of Caria Manor until we get to the next grace. There's a big glintstone dragon on the bridge, which might remind you of Dark Souls 1 a little bit, so just do your best to hide when you can and get through it. Alright, so now that we've found our next grace, it is time to take the path to get our next item, a unique damage increasing item, which is the Crest Shield. So just follow the path I take here, which will take us right to the shield. So in this little room here, there will be a chest that we can open that will have the shield in it, and here it is right here. So now we'll make our way to the next grace, kind of grabbing some stuff along the way. This lever here will open the gate to the outside, which gets you to the Ever Jail behind Caria Manor. This is the new way to get there. Nothing for our path is out here. You can go explore it if you want, but the next thing we need to get is the Zamor Star Mace, and we need to fight an NPC in order to get it. So here we go, we're up against Frost Witch Dino, the NPC we do need to defeat in order to get the Zamor Star Mace. You can see he is wielding it right now, and it does this little spell move. So be careful of that, it can do some damage. I use kind of a combination of everything to take him down. Renna's Barrier, still pretty good. Some spells, some Ice Stomp, things like that. But once he's dead, you are rewarded with the Star Mace. So the last item we need to get in Caria Manor is a boss remembrance reward. We need to defeat Einar the Ice Guardian, who honestly is a pretty difficult boss in my opinion. He's new to the Convergence mod like Rhys was, but he is just way more aggressive and you really need to get his moves down and wait for your openings to get some damage in. I felt I was still too underleveled for this fight at this point, so I wound up coming back later, which I do at the end of this video, but I give him a decent shot here anyway. Next up, we need to start Ranni's quest, as there are items that belong to this class only achievable by pursuing her quest. The first step is to talk to Ranni, and you don't necessarily need to go all the way through Caria Manor first in order to talk to her like you do in vanilla, since there is an elevator around the western side of Caria Manor that can take you up to her. Her quest is a little more condensed than vanilla, so once you talk to her, E.G., Blaidd, and Celibus, and then return to her one more time, we can progress the quest forward to Upper Shifra River, which you can get to by Waygate. If you want more detail on how to get there, let me know in the comments below. So we do have a new boss fight we need to get through here. This is Tearna, Night Mistress, who honestly took me a few attempts to defeat. It was my first time fighting her in the mod, but I found that throwing up Renna's Barrier would reject most of her spells and keep some distance between me and her, and then I could just hit her with surprise jump attacks every once in a while until she was eventually dead. Once defeated, you can walk up to the chest in the little room here and grab the Fingerslayer blade in the same spot as vanilla. Then we just need to head back to Ranni's tower to hand over the Fingerslayer blade.
Ah, not Blaidd. Even in my... It is in thy possession. My thanks. Soon must I... Ah, but...
We are then rewarded with the Shining Rune of Frost, which nets us Adula's Moonblade, Frozen Phalanx, and Icecrag's Spear. Continuing on with Ranni's quest, we basically follow the same steps as vanilla at this point, starting with talking to Miniature Ranni in Ainsel River. We then need to defeat the Baleful Shadow. I found the easiest way to get to him was backwards from the Lake of Rot, since there's a portal in Ainsel River that takes you directly to the Lake of Rot, instead of having to go all the way through Nokron. The Baleful Shadow was a pushover though. I just spammed him with Icecrag's Spear and he couldn't even get up.
Shadow, thou art the last. Tell the two fingers that Ranni the Witch cometh to rend thy flesh with a fateful, beautifully fought. My thanks. 'Twas more of a challenge than I envisioned. Now I can finally stand before them. This is farewell, my dear. Tell Blaidd and E.G. I love them.
So we get the Dark Moon Ring, which we now need to use to marry Ranni in the Moonlight Altar. In order to get there, we need to fight Astel, and in order to get there, we go to Deeproot Depths where there is a coffin that will take us right to Astel. Astel is pretty much the same as vanilla. I noticed one grab attack after he teleports that was pretty lethal. I don't think that's in vanilla, but I could be wrong. Anyway, I mainly used ice shards as the multiple shards on a larger enemy tends to do more damage. Seemed to work pretty well against Astel. With Astel down, we collect our rewards and head on up to the Moonlight Altar. Glintstone Dragon Adula is completely optional. You can just run right by him if you want, but I felt like fighting him. The final part of the quest is heading into the altar, jumping down the hole, and putting the ring on Ranni's finger.
So it was thee. Perhaps I need. I am pleased. I go now to the night sky. I bid thee, and once all is done.
Once she disappears, we grab that Dark Moon Greatsword. Quest complete and item acquired. Except the quest isn't quite complete. We need to head back to Ranni's tower to fight Blaidd one last time. Once again, Icecrag Spear is your best friend. The dude can't even stand up when you use it. And then you get rewarded with his gear, the Royal Greatsword, and all of his armor. Okay, so with Ranni's quest out of the way, we are now going to head to Renna's Rise to grab the Snow Witch set, which is just in a chest at the top of the ladder. This should be your endgame spellcaster set as it increases int and arcane, reduces FP cost of sorcery, and increases damage of frost sorcery, which is obviously beneficial to this class. Next up, we need to grab the Zamor set, which is in the Zamor ruins in the Mountaintops of Giants. The set is a little better for melee, so if you're going for a melee build, feel free to throw this on. Next up, we're going to grab our Tier 2 Catalyst, the Snow Witch Staff, which is in the Heretical Rise in the mountaintops. This is the rise where you have to walk across the invisible bridge to get to it, which I won't lie, I took my sweet time getting across. If you have rainbow stones, or a bow and arrow, or something like that, it can be helpful to find the path, or if you just go slow enough like I did, you can see faint little lighting that shows the path. Once you get into the rise, beware of enemies. There is going to be a dude waiting for you on the steps here, so beware of him as well. Then open the chest and collect your staff. You'll want to upgrade this one all the way. This other chest doesn't have anything we need. It's the Sword of Night and Flame, but you can grab it if you want. Now we are in the consecrated snowfield. I got here via the secret lift of Rold. You don't need the medallions, which is nice. You could use the snowfield waygate if you want, but that boss can be a pain, so I just went the lift route. Anyway, we're here to get the frozen Twinshards, which are a little tricky to find. They're in a chest that is right near the rise, but you need to go up the side of the mountain and then drop down a section in order to get there. Watch out for all the wolves and the red wolf as well. Basically, you want to head straight for the rise. You can see it kind of peeking up here. Just head straight that way, and then you'll find a cliff that you drop down. Here is the chest, and inside, the frozen Twinshards. Now we need to fight Borealis, the big ice dragon in the middle of the frozen lake, as he is going to drop us our next melee weapon. I used the same strat as I did for Astel, basically just hammering him with ice shards. We are rewarded with the Rimeheart, a cool axe and shield melee weapon. The Ash of War lets you throw the axe, giving off a cool God of War vibe. For our last set of spells, we need to head into Castle Sol to defeat Commander Niall. Not much has changed with Castle Sol in the mod, so you can pretty much run through it the same way you would in vanilla Elden Ring. Once you're at the boss, use everything in your arsenal to take out his 2 minions, and then eventually Commander Niall himself. Once he's dead, we just need to run up the steps to the back of the castle to grab our new spell set. The Radiant Rune of Frost contains Ranni's Dark Moon, Avalanche, Zamor Ice Storm, Snow Witch's Cunning, and Whiteout. These are the most OP spells for this class, so let's go use these on our good old buddy Einar, shall we? Alright, so if you remember from the beginning of the video, I felt a little under-leveled to fight Einar at that point in my path. Now I'm a little over-leveled, so let's see how this goes with all these OP spells. I'd say that went pretty well. So we do get his Remembrance, which we can turn in with Einar, or excuse me, with Enya to get Einar's Hammer, which is one of the last weapons we need for this class. So the last weapon we need to grab is the Zamor Curved Sword, which is found in the Giant Conquering Hero's Grave in the mountaintops. Nothing too special about this weapon or this hero's grave, as everything is the same as vanilla, but it is a weapon we need for this class, so we're just going to get through this dungeon as quickly as possible, and then we have everything we need. And there you have it, folks. The path of the Frost Witch is complete. You can now carry on your playthrough through the end of the game. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you got any value out of this, I would appreciate a like, a comment, a sub, any or all of the above, and I will see you in the next one.